Mrs. Napolitano.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And H.R. 3189, offered by my colleague, Mr. Tipton, is legislation that seeks to address a very narrow issue between the Forest Service and the ski areas in Colorado. The ski areas are concerned about the Forest Service interim directive that requires the transfer of their water rights to the federal government. The Forest Service concerned about their ability to manage the land if the ski resorts were to sell their water rights. And there are some issues that arise, and in a statement by the USDA Forest Service, they will be proposing changes to the water ski area rights clause that address the concerns associated with previous ski area water rights clause. They are going to have a comment area. They believe the objectives can be met without requiring the transfer of privately owned water rights to the government. Once they're published, then they will seek the comments and then proceed according to and based on the comments received. The hearing on the legislation was held during the government shutdown, and the administration was unable to testify. We received testimony from the Forest Service yesterday that outlines a different approach for their water rights directive. As stated, the Forest Service is in the process of finalizing the new directives and is looking to publish them in the Federal Registry next month for public review. Most importantly, the testimony states that the Forest Service can meet their land management objectives without requiring the transfer of privately owned water rights to the government. Therefore, the problem this legislation seeks to solve is no longer or will no longer be a problem, and the legislation will be unnecessary. Yet the proposed legislative solution goes above and beyond the disagreement between the Forest Service and the ski resorts, and it overreaches to apply to all actions that require a permit on federal lands. The Department of Interior found that it could impact the Bureau of Reclamation and renewal of CVP, Central Valley Project contracts. The legislation could also affect partnerships with parties who use underground water or groundwater for recreational activities on the reclamation lands. The bill would also prohibit the issuance of mandatory conditioning requirements by federal agencies for the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, FERC, hydropower relicensing. This has impacts on projects like the Conowingo Dam, which is a key component to the restoration efforts in the Chesapeake Bay. We also heard from Summit, Eagle, and Grand counties in Colorado. These counties have supported the ski resorts' efforts in reversing the Forest Service problematic directive. Yet, the counties are concerned with the potential impact of this legislation on bypass flows and oppose the legislation as drafted. And I submit for the record written letters from the counties, Trout Unlimited, National Forest in opposition, Department of Interior in opposition, and a letter from 39 conservation groups, including American Rivers, National Audubon, National Parks Conservation Association, American Whitewater Sierra Club, Chesapeake Bay Foundation in opposition, plus a letter from 30 groups in California that are here, and also a letter from Western Governors Association, Western States Water Council, stating that they are now evaluating the broader implications beyond the U.S. Forest Service ski area permits. And they are carrying out a multi-stakeholder initiative to evaluate the ways to improve the effective resolution of federal non-tribal water rights claims and meet federal needs for water. So this legislation does create more conflict than it intends to solve, and we feel it's a drastic attempt to solve a narrow problem, and I urge my colleagues to vote no on this legislation. I yield back my time.
Did the gentlelady want to have that included in the record? Did I hear her correctly? Well, in that case, without objection, so ordered. Further